There's just no way that you could have run an op. If they had gotten into the cell, you would see it.
But we were told that the cameras were down.
Well, I don't know who said that.
But that was in the news.
We've got major problems with this video. You have a missing section of the video. These are two actual videos stitched together. It definitely looks suspect.
Whoever operated the AutoPen had a policy. That's the scandal they should be talking about, not Jeffrey Epstein.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this.
There's a missing minute in the Jeffrey Epstein surveillance footage. Just 60 seconds. Gone. A single moment erased from a 10-hour video released by the Department of Justice to prove that no one entered Epstein's cell before he died. That gap, it's not just an editing mistake. It may be the thread that unravels everything. Because behind closed doors in Washington, this tiny glitch triggered a political explosion. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino stormed out of a high-level meeting. Attorney General Pam Bondi is now facing calls to testify before Congress. And the once unbreakable alliance inside the Trump-era Justice Department, it's fracturing. Fast. The media is calling it a clerical issue. The internet calls it a cover-up. But what really happened in that missing minute? And why are the people who once swore Epstein's secrets would be exposed now suddenly silent or even backtracking?
You see why there is a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the neighbor's set?
Yeah, sure. If I
Could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this.
The media is calling it a clerical issue. The internet calls it a cover-up. But now, even Donald Trump, once hailed as the outsider who would expose elite corruption, is distancing himself from the cause. On Truth Social, he lashed out at supporters still demanding Epstein transparency, calling them weak and manipulated by Democrat hoaxes. Good riddance, he wrote. The backlash was immediate. Core MAGA figures like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie openly criticized his tone. For many, it wasn't just a political misstep, it was betrayal. As trust fractures and allies scatter, one thing becomes clear. Whatever lies in that missing minute isn't just a threat to the establishment, it's a threat to the movement that vowed to destroy it. The video was supposed to be the final word. When the Justice Department released surveillance footage of the hallway outside Jeffrey Epstein's cell, they intended to close the book on every lingering question. The footage showed nothing. For nearly 10 hours, not a single figure entered or exited the area. Just a blank, uneventful feed. But that's the problem, because around 4:15 a.m., just before guards discovered Epstein's lifeless body, there's a 60-second gap, a literal blank.
So there you can see there was a cut or some kind of edited footage. And it obviously begs the question, why is there a minute missing from the FBI's prove it tape?
1 minute missing, not corrupted, not mislabeled, not explained. The DOJ brushed it off as a technical glitch. But that answer didn't fly with the people who were once most eager to expose the truth. Dan Bongino, one of the loudest voices in the law enforcement wing of the Trump movement, reportedly demanded answers at a private meeting in early July 2025. According to leaks from Axios and The Guardian, Bongino confronted both Attorney General Pam Bondi and former intelligence officer Kash Patel, demanding to know why they were walking back years of public promises. What promises? That there would be a list, that there would be names, that justice would be served.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
But that meeting didn't go the way anyone expected. Sources close to the room say Bongino became so irate, he had to be calmed down by aides. When the DOJ confirmed the video had a gap, and that there would be no investigation into it, Bongino stormed out. He hasn't been seen at his office since. Some insiders say he's planning to resign. Others say he already has. The fallout didn't stop there. It exploded. Former President Trump, once seen as a key player in exposing the Epstein network, abruptly shifted his stance. Rather than pressuring the DOJ for answers, he dismissed the controversy entirely. Critics say his attempts to redirect attention toward unrelated issues, like the use of an AutoPen, have only deepened suspicions. Conservative commentator Michael Knowles warned that Trump's posture could break the MAGA coalition in two. The issue, he argued, isn't just about files, it's about justice. And Trump calling the entire thing boring struck many as tone-deaf in a moment demanding accountability. Pam Bondi, who once told the press that she had the Epstein client list on her desk, has changed her story. She now says she never meant there was an actual list, only that she had a collection of documents that included names referenced in interviews. When asked if there would be a public release, she said flatly, "There is no list."
Now, this next part, the FBI calls this whole thing a conspiracy theory,
saying later this systemic review revealed no incriminating client list. Yeah, what, you didn't find the little notebook that had the every guy that did something wrong on it? Yeah, obviously that's probably not going to exist, right? But if you have videos and somebody appears in the video doing something bad, it's not a client list, but that's a client, right?
Kash Patel backed her up, saying, "The conspiracies just aren't true. People need to let it go." But people aren't letting it go. The Epstein case has become a symbol, not just of abuse or elite corruption, but of the belief that the truth is always just one step away from being buried. And now, the very people who once promised transparency are sealing the doors shut. Why? What changed? And what exactly was supposed to be shown during that 1 minute? Tech experts consulted by multiple outlets have confirmed that the missing segment wasn't due to file corruption. The metadata shows the timeline is continuous, suggesting the video was altered or clipped intentionally.
We've got major problems with this video. You have a missing section in the video. These are two actual videos stitched together. It definitely looks suspect.
DOJ spokespeople offered no further comment. The public doesn't need a conspiracy to ask a basic question. How does a single minute of the most important surveillance footage in the country disappear in a facility run by the federal government during a case involving global elites, and no one is held accountable? What happened during that minute? A malfunction? A mistake? Or something much darker? It started with a decision that baffled everyone. Epstein's cellmate, a hulking ex-cop accused of multiple homicides, was removed just hours before Epstein's death. That same night, the two guards assigned to check on Epstein every 30 minutes fell asleep. For over 3 hours, they never entered the hallway. Surveillance cameras meant to monitor the cell's entrance just happened to malfunction. According to the official timeline, 7:49 p.m., Epstein is locked in for the night. 10:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. No proper checks recorded. 6:30 a.m. Epstein is found dead with a noose fashioned from a bedsheet. The chain of failures read like a checklist of sabotage. Staff lied about their rounds. The logs were falsified. Later, it was revealed the guards had been browsing online and sleeping through their shift. A federal indictment would follow, but not for murder, just negligence. But what truly raised eyebrows was the condition of Epstein's body. The city's medical examiner, Dr. Barbara Sampson, ruled it a suicide by hanging. But Dr. Michael Baden, a renowned forensic pathologist hired by Epstein's brother, said the injuries didn't line up. Epstein had multiple broken bones in his neck, including the hyoid bone. According to Baden, this kind of fracture was more common in manual strangulation than suicide by hanging, especially in men Epstein's age. "I've never seen that in a suicidal hanging," he said. So the question became, how could all these failures happen at once, and all in favor of covering a death? The prison, the Metropolitan Correctional Center, wasn't some rundown local jail. It was a federal fortress in the heart of New York, housing mobsters, terrorists, and high-risk detainees. Epstein was arguably the most watched inmate in America. After a previous incident that was either a suicide attempt or a staged attack, Epstein had been placed on suicide watch. But mysteriously, just 6 days before his death, that order was lifted. All of this, the timing, the missing video, the guards, the removal of his cellmate, stacks up into something more than coincidence. It feels deliberate. The official explanation is institutional failure. But in a facility this secure, it's hard to believe that so many screw-ups could occur independently, and all in the exact sequence needed for a powerful man to die unnoticed. And with the release of the new surveillance video, that missing minute doesn't just challenge the official timeline, it cracks it wide open.
It was the phrase that lit up conspiracy forums, triggered congressional calls for transparency, and gave victims of Jeffrey Epstein a glimmer of hope. The Epstein client list.
Attorney General Pam Bondi once claimed she had it on her desk.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
That statement, made in early 2024 during a high-profile press conference, sent ripples across media outlets. For many, this was the moment they'd been waiting for, proof that the world's most powerful people wouldn't escape accountability. But that promise has unraveled. In 2025, as pressure mounted and calls for release intensified, Bondi walked back her claim. She clarified in a statement that there was no official list, merely a collection of loosely connected records, phone logs, flight manifests, redacted interview transcripts, and sealed testimonies. Critics saw this as a betrayal. Legal analysts pointed to a set of court documents from the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, which had been partially unsealed in 2023. Those files included names of high-profile individuals, some heavily redacted, others completely blacked out. Among them were former US presidents, foreign dignitaries, and CEOs of global corporations. The court cited potential reputational damage as justification for withholding the rest. But investigative journalists weren't convinced. A leaked internal DOJ memo, first reported by ProPublica, revealed that prosecutors had drawn up a working list of names flagged for further investigation. That list reportedly included prominent figures from Wall Street, Hollywood, and at least one sitting senator. Yet the memo was shelved, and no further action was taken. The public outcry was immediate. Hashtags like number release, the list and number names matter began trending. Protesters gathered outside federal buildings with signs reading, "We want the truth, not excuses." Bondi, facing mounting criticism, gave a second statement. This time, she blamed conspiratorial media for exaggerating her original remarks. She said her use of client list was informal and should never have been interpreted as a definitive prosecutorial document. That didn't satisfy anyone, especially not victims. An anonymous survivor whose testimony had helped indict Epstein in 2019 told The Guardian, "We knew there was more. He didn't operate alone. He didn't fund himself. There were people who used him as a gateway. Now they get to walk free while we're told the files are missing or too damaging to release. What about the damage they caused us?"
There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child.
At the heart of the controversy is a fundamental question. What counts as justice? Is it enough to put Epstein and Maxwell behind bars? Or does justice demand that every name, every enabler be exposed? The DOJ argues it must balance transparency with legal prudence. But for many, that's just another way of saying, the elite protect their own. And the phrase "on my desk" has gone from hopeful promise to bitter punchline. The Epstein scandal didn't just cast a shadow over the elite. It created a rift in one of the most vocal political movements in modern American history, MAGA. Back in 2019, memes like "Epstein didn't kill himself" spread like wildfire across conservative spaces. Right-wing commentators, from Dan Bongino to Jack Posobiec, positioned Epstein's death as the ultimate proof of deep state corruption. The messaging was clear. This wasn't suicide. This was cover-up. By 2021, the narrative was mainstream within MAGA circles. Entire shows were dedicated to the client list and speculation over who would be exposed. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel were praised as warriors for transparency. Former President Trump even teased revelations, saying at a rally, "A lot of people are going to be very nervous when this all comes out." But now, in 2025, the same voices are backpedaling. When Bondi and Patel announced there was no client list and that the DOJ had closed its internal investigations, the MAGA base erupted, not in support, but in outrage. Dan Bongino's reported storm out during a DOJ briefing on the missing video, and sealed documents only added fuel to the fire. Some of his supporters viewed it as the last stand for someone who still believed in accountability. Others questioned why he wasn't louder earlier. Kash Patel, meanwhile, offered a brief but controversial take. "The conspiracies just aren't true. People need to let it go." The backlash was swift. On Truth Social, Telegram, and X, conservative influencers called Patel and Bondi traitors. Prominent podcaster Mike Cernovich posted, "They ran the whole campaign on draining the swamp, and now they're drowning in it." A timeline of reversal began circulating online. 2020, Trump allies demand release of Epstein flight logs. 2022, Bondi promises full transparency. 2023, Patel teases new evidence coming very soon. 2025, DOJ confirms no list exists, no prosecutions planned. The contrast was undeniable. As internal tensions grew, some factions within the movement split. One group accused the DOJ of caving to establishment pressure. Another, more radical group, insisted the entire Trump-appointed leadership had been compromised. This fracture matters, not just for the Epstein case, but for the movement itself, because for years, the Epstein case was a rallying cry. It unified disparate parts of the MAGA world: libertarians, conspiracy theorists, hardline conservatives. Now, that unity is dissolving. And for a movement built on distrust of power, the revelation that their own leaders might have suppressed evidence is the ultimate betrayal. In the Epstein saga, what's most alarming isn't what we know. It's what we've been told not to know. From redacted court records to sealed deposition files, the pattern is unmistakable. Suppression over disclosure, silence over truth. The system isn't failing, it's operating exactly as designed. The federal government's treatment of high-profile cases involving elite figures has long followed a pattern. Transparency is promised, but only up to the point that it endangers power. In 2024, a Freedom of Information Act FOIA request submitted by several news outlets for unsealed Epstein-related documents was denied. The stated reason: potential harm to ongoing investigations and the reputational integrity of individuals not charged with a crime. Legal experts slammed the decision. Reputation has never been a legal shield against the release of public interest documents, said constitutional attorney Nia Roberts in a CNN panel discussion. But in the Epstein case, it suddenly is. Even internal whistleblowers faced retaliation. A former DOJ analyst told ProPublica that he was removed from an Epstein task force after raising concerns about deliberate delays in pursuing named individuals within sealed court affidavits. Meanwhile, the media has played both ally and gatekeeper. Mainstream outlets published exposés in 2019 and 2020, but grew quieter as the names turned more powerful and the lawsuits more threatening. One former editor at a major paper told Politico anonymously, "We were given clear signals from legal to avoid speculative reporting once the names crossed a certain line. This is the machinery of silence, and it works. Every time documents are denied, every time videos are altered, every time a statement is walked back, the story dims. And in that dimness, people forget. But survivors haven't. Many continue to push for a full unsealing of records from the Southern District of New York, where Epstein's original 2007 plea deal was arranged. That deal, which allowed him to serve only 13 months with work release, was orchestrated behind closed doors, without victim notification. It remains one of the clearest examples of institutional betrayal. To this day, more than 100 Epstein-related files remain sealed. The DOJ claims their release could jeopardize national security interests. What national security interest justifies hiding the names of alleged abusers? This is where silence becomes policy, and it's not just about Epstein. It's about the system that protected him and continues to protect others just like him. 60 seconds. That's all it took to tear the curtain back. 1 minute of missing footage, and suddenly, the world remembered everything it had tried to forget. The Epstein case wasn't just about a predator. It was about a system that protects predators when they have enough power, enough money, or enough secrets. It was about who gets away and why. That single missing minute didn't create suspicion. It confirmed it. It confirmed that federal surveillance systems fail only when it's convenient. It confirmed that powerful names can vanish from legal documents when courts choose redaction over accountability. It confirmed that political allies, once loud in their promises of truth, can suddenly go quiet when the story begins pointing inward. The story of Epstein's death is, by now, a well-worn loop. Removed cellmate, sleeping guards, broken bones, missing footage, no investigation. But the aftermath is where the real story lies. Promises were broken, movements fractured, and faith in institutions, already worn thin, dissolved further. This wasn't just about one man dying under suspicious circumstances. It was about the chilling reminder that when too many powerful people stand to lose from the truth is erased, or sealed, or spun into something so dull that the public no longer bothers to ask. But silence is a choice, and that minute, that void, still speaks. For every victim whose case was buried, for every whistleblower who was punished, for every headline that stopped just short, that missing minute is a monument to everything we weren't supposed to see. And until it's accounted for, until someone answers for it, the system remains on trial.